for the hook of that cell, but it looks like it's doing a pretty good job getting through that and definitely showing that.
I'll switch this back over to velocity there and see. It doesn't look like
and there's our storm
intensity.
icon. It's picking up on the rotation as well. So now kind of east of Jewel near Beale Springs, kind of crossing over Macon Highway right there is where we're definitely seeing this rotate. And if it was daytime, we'd likely have a pretty crazy view of this and likely would have a very classic structure to it. Definitely looks like this could have possibly wall cloud producing with it, just showing that rotation from a very strong updraft. That's also what's producing that hail risk with this. So no surprise that what we're seeing there, just kind of the changing colors as those get tighter, that's just showing that rain going toward and away from the radar, and that's just a sign of that rotation as this icon's kind of showing you here. So our Harlem radar, our new radar there in Columbia County in Harlem, is doing a pretty fantastic job of giving us this low-level view of it. And Anthony, if you wanted to just switch it over to the regular NWS radar, you can see how much it changes. I'm interested to just kind of see what the regular radar looks with this. So it's showing that rotation a little bit broader, and it's scanning just a little bit higher, so just doesn't give us as good a view of what we did see from our Harlem radar there. What about the Weather Service radar there, Ant?
Do you want to go to the reflectivity?
Yeah. So it's picking up on still a little hail core with it, and I would say where we were looking at on our radar, that rotation was kind of around this area, so that would make sense, is that your hail core is just a little bit north of that rotation. But
yeah, you can kind of see again that this view is a little bit more smoothed over, if you will. But a little bit of an inflow notch right to the south of Warrenton there, kind of sticking up through that guy. Let's go. I'm just going to switch it real quickly back to our radar there, and you can just see how much more precise this is. So not quite as broad as what the Weather Service radar looked like. But Riley, the last couple of frames, look how much lightning is scattered around that cell, just all over the place there. Not defined in one spot, but just a good little lightning burst there. So that could be, signs of it, ramping up a little bit there.
And even though our radar may not be showing as much rain, that's not the really big use for this. This is showing us the lower levels of the atmosphere and the lower levels of these storms, and just giving us that more precise view of where that rotation is and kind of the more lower level features, which is how we really see the telltale signs for severe weather forming across the area.
And Riley, I like to use this tool, so differential reflectivity. This just gives us another health check of that storm. So the brighter the colors, essentially, the stronger
warmer colors here.
Yeah, exactly. The stronger the updraft that we have, so the bigger raindrops and something like that, we can kind of determine the health. And we'll go back to that regular velocity look at it, just so we can kind of see how it's going there. But definitely some more breezier conditions right underneath that little spinning icon. I'll get rid of that.
Absolutely. And you can see some pretty good reflectivity. It's likely is producing at least some pretty strong wind gusts with this. The worst of this storm that we're looking at is just south of Warrenton, between Warrenton, Beale Springs, and Jewel, but it's quickly moving east. This scan could be a minute or so old, so it could be showing up a little bit east from where it's actually showing. But this is moving at about 30, 40 miles an hour, so moving at a pretty good pace. And there you go. That latest scan that came in is showing that those warmer colors to where it's just kind of strengthening a little bit, and we've seen that pick up with the lightning activity and also with just heavier rain, so that updraft is becoming more efficient with giving this storm a very healthy environment to kind of thrive in. So that latest scan definitely showing that continuing with this cell.
Definitely. And just going back over to the NWS radar, and it's just remarkable to see that difference between the Harlem radar and what we're looking at, but still the indication of a lot of lightning. So this storm ramping up in intensity, and also just seeing potentially a hail core now popping up around just north of Warrenton, and southwest of Warrenton, north of Beale Springs, south of Norris there along Georgia State Road 16, what it looks like in around Warrenton, just west of U.S. State Road 278. Just southwest of Messina. So definitely still seeing some potential gusty winds with this, torrential rainfall, not to mention as well, which could, cause some maybe minor flooding issues, because we have had a lot of heavy rainfall across this portion of the CSRA for today. Radar estimated rainfall totals in some areas around this neck of the CSRA approaching 4 inches. So definitely still seeing some impacts from that storm there.
And I'm just taking a look at our high-resolution radar, Mikkel, just kind of looking at the velocity and looking at that NROT value again. So it looks like kind of just to the south of Warrenton itself, there's some more of that broad rotation kind of going on, kind of like what you mentioned. I'm not sure if you have the high-res
for this
graphic on. And
they can pull up Web 2 though.
Yeah, if you guys want to pull it up real quick, that'd be great. And we just kind of show folks
There it goes.
what's going on there. So there you can see there's Warrenton up here. And just to the south, this is where we have just a little bit of rotation going on. Nothing too crazy. They definitely wouldn't put a tornado warning on this, but this just kind of goes to show that we still have some rotation with this thunderstorm, and it's still producing a lot of rainfall. We have a very weak inflow notch here. That's going to wrap in some of that air a little bit there. It's going to try to tighten itself up a little bit more, but not right now looking like it could produce a tornado. So good news for sure, but this is going to continue to slide off to the northeast. So places like Thompson, eventually going through Harlem and Appling, Grovetown, you guys are going to want to get ready for this storm. At most right now, we're seeing some very gusty winds, heavy rainfall, a whole bunch of lightning, and definitely some small hail associated with this severe thunderstorm. So a lot going on this evening for us. You see anything new, Mikkel, on that guy there?
Nothing new here. I may try to put a strip on this.
Okay.
To get some cities and times out there, see how fast this is moving.
So this is, from the National Weather Service, this is moving to the east at about 40 miles per hour. So it looks like the main gusts, the main issues there are going to be winds gusting to about 60 miles per hour and the possibility of nickel-size hail. That's the current obs from the National Weather Service. Now, the latest scan that's come in does show that rotation tightening up ever so slightly. Again, this is just to the south of Warrenton. This is going to continue from the National Weather Service moving to the east at about 40 miles per hour. So we'll loop this over the last couple of frames, and you can really see that rotation a little bit more. You guys can put up Max 1 again. Mikkel's got the little bacon strip on there for everyone to see.
Yep.
General idea of which direction this is heading.
And again, as Anthony mentioned, a general idea of which direction this is heading. Sometimes these storms meander, jog a little bit towards the north and south, but general motion is east at about 40 miles per hour. So as we time this out, we're talking about that reaching into Augusta potentially just after midnight. And then before that, Evans, Appling, you guys would get that in between about 11:45 and midnight. And then Beach Island and Aiken, some of our counties, if this is able to hold together all the way into Aiken County, we're talking about you guys out there getting impacts closer to 12:30, so after midnight, and then continuing through about 1 a.m. all the way in Windsor. So we are tracking this as it is pushing through the CSRA. Again, just monitoring the potential for some broader rotation that, as Anthony just mentioned, could be tightening just a bit with some of the latest scans. But nevertheless, a lot of lightning and torrential rainfall with this, so that flood threat is still going to be there. You don't want to be using any electronic devices or near windows or using plumbing of any kind at this time if you are around this storm, or if you can hear thunder as well in your location. But we are going to continue to monitor this as it does push closer towards the CSRA. And just switching back over to our local radar, definitely still picking up on that hook structure with this storm and seeing that evidence of an inflow coming into this storm as well, and then some of those brighter reflectivity values and just some weaker rotation. It looks like south of Warrenton, just east of Beale Springs, and we saw that meso icon indicating some weaker rotation north of this as well. So still seeing some rotation with this storm, but as Anthony mentioned, just not quite strong enough for them to put out an actual tornado warning. But we did get a buzz over there. Anything?
So that's for the cell that moved through Aiken County earlier. They're just continuing that severe thunderstorm warning into Calhoun, Lexington, Orangeburg, and Richland County. And they're still putting the tornado tag on that, but that is outside of the CSRA. Good
news. So definitely seeing that earlier tornado warning cell now pushing well outside of our region. So that's good news for those of you in Aiken County, but our eyes are now on this severe warning cell pushing through Warren County, about to cross over eventually into McDuffie County here, and then continue likely towards portions of maybe Richmond County and Aiken County eventually if it can hold its act together. But we are still watching this and sticking with that as we do have some. This is the most active weather right now going on in terms of severe warning cells moving through the region right now at this time, but still just seeing some pops of lightning, so indications that this storm could be ramping up in intensity.
And I'll switch. Oh, go ahead, Riley.
I was just going to say the worst of the storm that we're looking at that you can see right there, just kind of south and east of Norris, it's kind of getting towards the end of that polygon. This warning goes into effect until 10:45, but it's kind of getting to the end of that polygon line. So I'd imagine we either have an update coming soon from the Weather Service, either continuing this or from what they're seeing, what they're going to do on that. Right now, we haven't really seen this cell weaken significantly. It's definitely still looking pretty healthy. So I would imagine that this warning would continue, and if it does, it's going to include places like Thompson, most likely portions of Columbia County as well. Harlem, you could probably be included in that. So we're going to have to see what this update says from the Weather Service. But at the moment, no update yet, but this warning does stay in effect until 10:45.
And it looks like we're slowly getting the latest scan here from the latest radar scan. So lots of good heavy rainfall out there in Thompson. Looks like it might have glitched just a little bit there, but when this updates, this is going to be right over. It looks like Georgia 171. This is moving this to the south of Warrenton.
And Anthony, I actually just got an update. So.
Okay.
That current warning's coming from the Weather Service in Atlanta. It's crossing over into our counties covered by the Weather Service in Columbia. And what the Weather Service in Columbia just did with this storm, they're not continuing it as a severe thunderstorm warning. They're saying it's a strong thunderstorm that will impact Columbia, McDuffie, Richmond County until 12:15, but not quite up to severe levels from what they're seeing on radar at the moment. So they're saying wind gusts could be up to 50 and nickel-sized hail will be possible. It's still moving east at 40 miles an hour, but it does not look like they're going to continue this as a severe thunderstorm.
Okay, that's definitely up.
So that is good.
That's still good news.
Definitely.
That is good news. So I would say, right, I guess we're past news time. Craig's still in here? Nope.
Nope.
I would say, guys, right now I feel safe enough just kind of doing a quick wrap up here, and then we'll kind of be able to go back to regular broadcasting. But we do have this severe thunderstorm warning that's moving across Warren County into McDuffie, Columbia, and Richmond County next. It likely will produce some strong wind gusts, possibly as high as 50 miles an hour, nickel-sized hail, but the Weather Service is not going to continue this as a severe thunderstorm warning. So I do feel safer kind of leaving you all with the broadcast, but if any of that changes, we will cut right back in to keep you safe. But anywhere in Thompson, all the way into Appling, Grovetown, Harlem, Evans, us here in Augusta, just make sure you are staying weather aware tonight, and we'll be sure to cut in first to keep you in the know if anything changes. But right now, we can go back to broadcasting.